do we have any questions, any comments that we need to address to Guillermo before we vote?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to see if there's anything that we've considered to add an exemption for those who want to go around and try to have temporary sales or even do like mowing lawns in their neighborhoods. Have we considered that, and do we have proposed or prepared language to potentially insert that into here? I know I brought it up every single time, so.
I mean, my understanding is it will not affect.
It is a prohibition on it, so if I can get an answer to the question. If there is not, then that's fine. I'll take that as an answer.
Anyone? You have your answer.
Oh, he's getting up to the podium.
Guillermo?
Do we have something?
As I understand it, that's why I wanted to go back to the definitions.
Okay, I'm trying to get an answer to my question. My time's running out. Nobody's speaking. Do we have some proposed language to exempt that? And I guess that's a no.
Give him time.
Is that a no?
I'll just say this again, I've said it before, this is why it'd be helpful for you to give us questions before the meeting, because then we could be prepared to address your concerns. It's hard to.
I'll reclaim my time. I've asked this question every single meeting. The citizens who are sitting in this room know that and who have watched. I've asked this question every single time. This is nothing new. I'll move on from that then. The section that somebody brought up that our city attorney was referring to about this is only to prevent peddling, hawking, and selling and soliciting. He stopped before that. It goes further to say from distributing. It didn't mention that. And it's to include political, religious, and charitable purposes. That's something to make sure to keep in mind. It's important. Courts take up this issue all the time on the First Amendment, especially the United States Supreme Court. One thing that they have to look at is the content neutrality of an ordinance when you talk about something, especially with the First Amendment. Content neutrality is, do you have to look at what the sign is or what they're holding up in order to determine whether your regulation applies to it or not? And in this case, that's exactly what they're going to have to do. You're going to have to look at exactly what they're holding up to determine, is that political or religious speech? And if it is, then our regulations apply to it. This isn't content neutral. This is content specific.
Let me reply to that real quick. You're reading it incorrectly.
Okay.
No.
Please Mayor, if I can finish my time,
Let's let him finish.
Thank you.
Attorney.
One way that governments have an opportunity to do that is if they can overcome strict scrutiny and provide a compelling governmental interest. In that case, I think if we had proof of evidence that this is going on in our community, and this is a regulation that we need to put into place in order to keep our residents safe, that is potentially a compelling governmental interest. We have no evidence, as it's been said before by staff, that this is even an issue, that crime rate is directly related to the solicitation or canvassers. In conclusion, what's really concerning to me is that we took what was supposed to be just a cleanup of this ordinance and to make it consistent with what state law was and just to clean it up. We went from that to going way further and beyond what even council was told it was going to be and started regulating political and religious speech. It wasn't in there before. And it's being regulated on private and public property. I don't even know why we want to try to risk going on the line and potentially getting on the verge of crossing the line on this issue. There's no reason why we even need to do it. We talk about first speech tonight. The mayor has been using her official position to actually compel speech and to say, you can't use someone's name, you have to use their position. That's something else to be cautious about too. Compelled speech. The First Amendment was carefully construed by our founders to limit the government, not to limit the citizens. We have God-given rights that are protected by provisions of the Constitution that I fear that our City Council right now are potentially violating on the passage of the second ordinance. I would hope everybody has come to Jesus moment and votes no on this, let's put this back to where it should have been and just let's get something cleaned up.
Mr. Hayes, did you have something you would like to say?
I have a lot I'd like to say. I'll go back to 3183. That only applies to canvassers and people with political message if they're trying to sell something in the right of way. It's not, it was brought up this evening about the individual outside the library. That conduct is fine. With respect to canvassers and the way that's defined in this ordinance only applies to them a couple ways. One, they can't go door to door 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. I thought that was a reasonable time limit in complete alignment with other cities that regulate that activity. They also can't approach a door with a no solicitation or no trespassing or whatever sign. That's it. They don't pay a fee. They don't have to go get a permit. And again, I think this is a reasonable regulation based on what we have on the books now. The way I felt like the ordinance needed to be changed to be clear, and with some of the complaints and issues I have heard over the years.
All right, council, anyone have something to say? I simply want to add that I believe this is reasonable. I think that it has been being blown out of proportion. I think that it is being put in place to protect people who do not want people knocking on their doors. And I think that I personally think that it will serve our community. So, do we have a motion?
I move to deny ordinance number 2024-03.
Do we have a second to that motion? Do we have another motion?
I move we adopt ordinance number 2024-03 on second reading.
Second.
I request a roll call vote.
Roman, I don't think a roll call vote is necessary. We know it's not necessary in this instance.
That's okay. You may not think it's necessary, but the rules allow any one council member to request a roll call vote, and upon that request, a roll call vote has to be taken.
We will take it. I do not think it is necessary.
Thank you.
Shelley?
Councilmember Garcia,
Absolutely not.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Eichner,
Yes.
Councilmember Herring,
Yes.
Councilmember Hughes.
Yes. Thank you, Shelley. It passes 4-1. Mr. Garcia is in opposition. We will move on to